Welcome back to the Empowering Minds Mental Health Podcast. I am your host today, Jennifer Moore, and today my special guest is Coach Mitra Cummins. Coach Mitra has a BA in Cognitive Linguistics. She's a certified coach and trainer in neuro linguistic programming, as well as a trainer of mental and emotional release and hypnotherapy. She has 10 plus years supporting families through social, emotional, behavioral, and academic solutions. She also has 3 plus years in integrating ancient Hawaiian energy into her work practice. Welcome and thank you for agreeing to come on to the podcast today.
Thank you, Jennifer, for having me. It's been such a whirlwind. It's already 2026.
Right. Yeah. I'm excited for new and amazing things this year to continue on. So yeah. So again, thank you for, coming on to kind of help me educate the community around stigmas, around mental health, different topics. So again, thank you for coming on. And before we go into the questions, if there's anything else that you want to add, you can kind of let um, the community who will watch this later, a little bit more about what you do.
Yeah. So, big picture, what I do is I help overwhelmed parents to regulate their nervous system and communicate with intention so that they can stop being in a survival mode and start living and being in a space of enjoying family and really their life. Because a lot of parents, especially new parents that are pregnant, postpartum, wanting to become parents, but aren't necessarily having an easy time becoming parents,
Mhm.
or have been down the road and have so many kids, whether it's one, three, five, and are just having challenges in their current transitions in life. And many of my background does come from working with neurodiverse kids. And what that means, big picture, is I've worked with kids that have ADHD or high functioning autism or Asperger's at the time when I was first starting. It was still in the DSM and mood disorders or learning related challenges like dyslexia. And what came about from that point in my life, this was when I first got started over a decade ago, was learning about the social emotional learning strategies and tools and techniques to support kids. And parents kept saying, well, I need help. How can we keep bridging the gap? And so the community I was working with was awesome in doing their best in going, okay, here's how you generalize it. Here's how you support your child in practicing it at home. This is what you can pass on to school. And I worked with a lot of schools as well. And
Mhm.
what we still found out was that parents were coming up against their stuff, their mental health, their baggage, and that's where my husband and I said, it's time we start changing the script. It's time we start going, how can we support parents in a way that's going to help them elevate, help them step into that leadership role that we all carry as parents, because I am a parent of two. And that's how introspective solutions and the support of helping overwhelmed parents really got started. And now we're just streamlining everything and supporting the community.
I knew it was a special reason I invited you on because um, I actually work on a intensive in-home therapy team, and some of what you described are some of the same emotions or feelings that parents tell me, like they feel overwhelmed, and they do have children that have dual diagnosis. Some do have neurodiversity. So towards the end, I definitely want you to share your information on how they can contact you as an additional resource, services, that type of thing.
Absolutely.
All right. So you gave me 4 different topic areas to choose from. And today I chose change the script, how forgiveness can save your life. Um, I mention to people all the time that sometimes when you kind of hold on to things and you have that unforgiveness, not only does it play with you physically, it does mess, it can mess with you mentally and emotionally as well. And so I just wanted to kind of highlight and touch on that today.
Absolutely. This is one of my favorite topics,
Oh,
actually.
good. See, we're connected for a reason.
All right.
All right. All right. So we're just going to jump right into some questions. And so the moment everything shifted, can you share the moment when you realized forgiveness wasn't just an option? It was necessary for family healing?
My training outside of working with kids, my personal growth training for myself and working with parents got started back in 2017. I was sitting in a neurolinguistic programming training, and I'm sitting there taking their practitioner, their entry level course with Empowerment Inc. And the second day, they do something that isn't neurolinguistic programming, that isn't NLP at all. And they start talking about energy work with an ancient Hawaiian practice called Huna. And the Huna is a modern label. And they were explaining that Huna means secret. It's a hidden wisdom and it's beneath the surface. And this program and this team has a lineage, Dr. Matt or Kumu Matt James. He is the Kumu, the teacher of this lineage, Ho'omana. It means life force energy. And so him and his team are talking about 121 generation unbroken lineage. And I'm listening, I'm like, okay, cool. And they start talking about a forgiveness process. They call it Ho'oponopono. Ho'o is to make, pono is right with, so right with yourself and right with others. So that's why it's pono pono. So Ho'oponopono. And in this ancient forgiveness process, they're explaining the process, they're going through the purpose and telling all of these stories. And I'm sitting there going, well, okay, I guess we're going through this process. Who do I need to forgive? And one thing they said was when you're going through the process, just if you don't have someone right now, just allow your subconscious, your unconscious mind to bring up someone to the stage. I said, great, that's exactly what I'm going to do because I don't know who I want to bring onto this stage. I was in a relationship with my now husband, but he was my boyfriend at the time, and we were doing great. I was like, I don't feel like I need to do it with him.
Hmm.
And I'm sitting there, and my dad comes onto the stage. And my dad had already passed at that point because you can do the process with someone that's passed, someone that's wronged you, or someone you just want to reboot with.
Hmm.
And so I bring out my dad, and I've gone through therapy to go through a lot of different healing with my father throughout my childhood and into adulthood. And just my background with my dad was he had his own mental health challenges. He had his own baggage that would come out. A lot of you can't experience like no crying in the house, a lot of just stuff it down type of feelings that would come up with him. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, why are you on my stage right now? Why are you coming out for this forgiveness process? And what I realized was I was still seeking this purpose for my life. I was still seeking a connection with myself and with others. And 2017 for me was a big pinnacle moment of starting to deep dive into my own personal growth. And him coming out made me realize there were aspects of my relationship, my expectations of a father, my what I believed my husband would be, and who he should be when it comes to being with my kids. All of that came up and more during that process. And when I did the forgiveness process, I forgive you, please forgive me. We went through every single piece. I came out of it and I didn't have this big, whoa, transformation. It was just a silence and peace. And I went, this stuff needs to be out there with more people. More people need to go through a experience where they can just experience peace after. They don't, maybe you do have a big transformation, and even just having a moment of solitude from healing within can create that perpetual, like, and that's where it perpetuated more healing for myself within my family. And I'll probably bringing up more stories throughout it, but I really want to just end this part with I was asking my husband about this as well. I was like, what was that moment for you? And he realized within the family unit that a natural part of childhood is idealizing your parents. So I was even saying in my process, I was my expectations of my dad. He was feeling the same way. Like they do one thing, but you wish they did something else. And the healing within yourself is when you become an adult, you're either realizing that they're just people and they were doing the best that they can, or you're holding a grudge or somewhere in between. And just recognizing that if we're all doing the best we can and you want to move forward from a healed space within you, then that's where the healing comes from. It comes from you. It doesn't come from them.
Mhm.
Could. It would be great if it did, and the healing starts with yourself.
Gotcha. You made a lot of valid points. And you made me actually look at myself.
Mhm.
I kind of went through some things with some people I'm very, very close with. And it was just like I got to the root cause and I was like, I'm not able to move forward because I'm still carrying this heaviness. I'm still carrying unforgiveness. And this is why I can't move forward. So when you mentioned the word about being able to just breathe, and that's what it was for me when I decided, you know what, this is not healthy for me. And it wasn't like just like you said, like this big, oh my gosh, or like I had a revelation. It really was for me, the forgiveness. And it just helped me so much. Even when I sat down and thought about it, I was like, I did not realize how much holding on to that unforgiveness impacted me emotionally and mentally. So you are right with the breathing process, or just having that breath to you just feel refreshed, you know. And
Yes.
I'm glad you highlighted that part. Yeah, yeah. And so something I kind of wanted to ask. I don't know if this happened to you, but what was the hardest part if that happened? What was the hardest part of forgiving someone that you love? You know, forgiveness inside a family, you know, it can kind of pull at your heart, you know, your strings of your heart because you love them, right?
Yeah.
And so it's real personal. So what was the hardest part um, to begin that process?
For me, it was admitting that forgiveness is possible.
Mhm,
And like you were saying a moment ago, that decision. Because
mhm,
for some people, because I was sitting in the personal growth trainings for a few years working with this company, with Empowerment Inc. So I would hear many stories. And some people decided to be angry for 30 years or
yep.
20 years. Like you're hearing people that are angry for so long. And
Mhm,
then the question they asked was, when did you decide, like how long from when you decided to be angry were you no longer angry? And what every training they said was it took a second. The second you decide to no longer be angry, you're no longer angry.
yep.
And that's a natural experience. You naturally can forgive inside. And the thing with all the tools and techniques coaches like myself and other people and mental health professionals have is they're tools that work because we can naturally do it. And that's why they work. It's not because we wave a magic wand and all of a sudden you're healed. If only that was the case. But to highlight here within the pain points of, yes, it can be painful to forgive. However, it causes more hurt to yourself to hold on to a grudge.
Mhm,
So when you decide to let go of that pain, it actually is a lot easier. It can feel really hard when you're in it though. Like, do I really want to let this go? And
mhm,
sometimes you may not even realize you're holding on to it. That is another piece of this. Because once you decide to let it go, you're holding on to the lesson of the experience so that you forgive. You're not really forgiving and forgetting. You're not forgetting anything necessarily. You may forget the details of it, but you catch the lesson of it. It's
yeah.
the Hawaiians talk about it like a seed. You hold on to the seed of it, and that's the lesson. And one time I did this with my husband. This was when I first started traveling with the company, personal growth company, Empowerment Inc., where I learned all of this, where I learned neurolinguistic programming. And I my boss said, "Okay, I want you to do the process in the room today." I was like, "Okay, great." Like I was just starting to train. I was like, "Cool. I could do a reboot, no problem." And my at the time, he was my boyfriend, but he's my husband now, Chase, came up on the stage. I'm like, "That's interesting. Why would he come on the stage?" Because at the time, I was doing this process every day. I still
Mhm,
do. But at the time I was doing the process every day. So I was like, "Okay, I'm going to do my reboot again right now." Great. He comes up, but the picture of him wasn't him when I left. I was living in San Diego at the time. It wasn't him when I left San Diego. It was him from a year before that, before he was going into his doctorate program, before where we were both in this, still evolving in our personal growth space of what are we doing together, what's happening in our life. And there was an aspect of him that I didn't realize I had an expectation of my partner that I was holding on to. And I was him from a year ago, and I was still holding on to it that day. And I did the process with him and asked for forgiveness. And then I actually called him after. I said, I need to ask for forgiveness because I didn't realize I was doing this. And he's like, oh, it's no problem, hun. Like, of course. I'm like, no, 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 no. I need you to actually hear me because this is a part of the process. Sometimes, especially with your loved one, having that conversation afterwards. With my husband, it's really easy. I did have a client though, and a mom, very strong-willed mom, and she had has a son, and at the time her son was, I believe, 7 or 8,
Mm-hmm.
and she didn't want to admit fault to her son. So if there was ever a time she felt like she needed a forgiveness process, a lot of the time she said, I didn't want to say I'm sorry because I didn't want to be weak to my son because I'm very strong. I said, you are a very strong woman. I didn't want to get on the bad side of her. I got it. I was like, I wouldn't either. And I was explaining to her how your son is picking up on you as a model. You and we always ask him to ask for forgiveness and exchange within the social setting, and that's what we were working on a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can't model it, he's not going to be able to learn how to do that in the family unit too, and do it in a way that's from his heart.
Mm-hmm.
That's the piece of it. Forgiveness is from the heart. And we did some coaching around it and we broke down some barriers together and came to a realization of when you do ask for forgiveness, it's actually a very strong experience because you're able to mend and come back together in a stronger way than you were before. And
You
that was like a big revelation for her.
heard. Gotcha. You said something that I really like. Model, model behavior. And
Yes.
so this is going to tie into this next question. So if you model certain behaviors, they are not necessarily effective. Your children may not say anything, but they are listening and they are watching. And that's how those cycles start to form because now your children may pick up on these unhealthy cycles. So,
Yeah.
with breaking cycles and writing a new story, now you shared about how forgiveness has kind of like helped you change the script. What old patterns or generational behaviors did forgiveness allow your family to break free from?
Personally, I had a belief that if I admitted my faults, I would get in big trouble. Big trouble was not good in my house. And so I would actually tell little white lies just to make me look better. Very
Mhm,
little. I was like, oh, it's just little. Like, I'll just change this little bit. And I was still doing it in college and after college. And I
mhm,
was noticing, and it was small things like if someone said, oh, do you know this song? I'd be like, yeah, but I actually didn't know the song at all. It's very small things, but those small things add up, add up, add
mhm,
up. And I got to a moment where I realized I was running that pattern of I didn't want to be wrong and get in trouble. And I kept running it over and over again because I just wanted it to sound, I wanted to sound better and feel better, but my nervous system and my brain were just on edge.
yeah, yeah,
So when doing forgiveness and as well as some other processes that I'm trained in, it really helped me open up and break that cycle for myself because now I'm seeing my daughter. She's 2, almost 3 this year, and I'm watching her learn and take
Mhm.
in information, and watching her, quote, fail at something and go, well, how do we pick back up together?
Mhm.
And noticing if she feels like she's in trouble, how to navigate that with her so that she feels like she can ask for help or be in a space where she can break down. And then when she's done with the breakdown, pick herself back up. Of course, with support right now, because she's very young, and just noticing what's the habit that I'm creating for myself. And I'm not perfect at it. I
Mhm.
have my moments. My husband has his moments. We pick each other back up together.
Mhm.
And what we're really doing is we're trusting our path and noticing that as we keep forgiving and as we keep our own personal journey, our personal growth, it is the stepping stone,
Mhm.
creating the path. So I had a client and I was working with her son as well. And she had been going down her own personal growth journey for a while. So when she came into me, she was telling me all the things she had done, and she was excelling so well, and she just needed support in the parenting side. I was like, awesome, I got you. And since she had done so much groundwork on herself, one of the first sessions with her, I told her, the reason your son is taking these steps is because you set the path for it.
Mhm.
There are some families that don't go down a personal growth journey, or it may look different. And what I applaud to any parent that's going through any type of growth is that you're setting the path for your family.
Mhm.
Whether they know it in that moment or down the future, it's the stepping stone. And it sometimes takes baby steps.
Yeah, you said a couple of things. Again, made me self-reflect. You mentioned about the mother and the son, and basically kind of like the mom didn't want to take accountability. And so I can't remember how old my son was, but he definitely was in his teens. He's grown now. And he was telling me some things that he kind of felt like I overreacted on, or some things that I said. And I was like, no, I didn't. And then I
Mm,
sat later on and I was like, um, let me go back and apologize to him.
yeah.
Because yeah, I did. That explains why he was being a little resistive towards me.
Mhm.
I just had to take that. You know what? Let me take accountability, and not just that. Let me do better so that he can see the growth in me, so that he can make positive decisions, and just kind of, as he gets older, I want that the cycle to stop right here between us, because I want him to be healthy, and
Yeah.
have healthy habits. So it hurts to admit when your child, especially your child, is a teen and they say, "Hey, you did such and such."
Yeah.
It hurts, but have to. That's just one of those things. You have to just take it and move forward.
Yeah. And sometimes, like myself, I had a belief so ingrained that I actually couldn't admit it for a long time. But
Yeah.
then once I did, I noticed a lot of moments where I had to practice it because it
Mm-hmm.
was coming up. It's like, okay, well, let's convince your mind that that you don't have that belief anymore. And I had opportunity after opportunity come up. And it
Mm-hmm.
was uh at the time, looking back, I'm like, it was beautiful, but now, at the time I was like, this is kind of scary.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But
Yeah.
still navigating it. It's still
Yeah.
important to take that step. So it's great that you acknowledge that. My husband had something similar with his mom, where she kind of went overboard on a reaction and grounded him, was like, you're grounded for this, that. And she's such a loving woman and so much from the heart that even hearing that story, I'm like, she did? Like she yelled at you? She doesn't yell. And she noticed she went overboard. So very similar. She went back and asked for forgiveness and repaired it. And I think that's the
Yeah.
key point for families, is noticing that there's a positive repair when
Oh,
something like that happens. So
absolutely.
you're on the market with it.
Absolutely. And I just, you are very transparent.
Oh,
And I appreciate that so much, because transparency is what helps to empower people. And especially when I'm just enjoying listening to what you're saying because a lot of times people are receptive to uh, coaches, whatever the role may be in mental health. They are more receptive when you've actually been on the journey that they are trying to learn some resilience and coping skills around. So thank you so much for just being yourself and being who you are. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Yeah, absolutely. So again, we're on this journey. And like you said, we all have our own journey. And about a year, maybe about a year and a half ago, um, I was I was healing while I was still hurting because
Hmm.
things came up and I was I was holding on to
Yeah.
some feelings, right? So forgiveness doesn't mean the hurt disappears overnight, which is what you kind of alluded to earlier. So
Mhm.
how did you continue to heal and reconnect even while some wounds were very fresh?
I'll tell you about a really fresh one. Not right now, but at the time, it was really
Uh-huh.
fresh. Um, my daughter was about one, and whether you are pro or anti-vaccine, that's not the point of the story.
Hmm.
The point of the story was my daughter was getting a set of shots,
Hmm.
and she was going in, and we finished the shots, and I look at her paper of everything that was completed, and I see a shot that we had denied when she was born. And
Hmm.
I go, "What's this?" And all of a sudden, I fully break down. I have a full-on breakdown about this in the doctor's office because they admitted a vaccination that we had denied. Now, many parents, whether you're pro or anti, could go in and go and have a similar experience of me where it very upset. I was very sad. I was angry at the people. I was like, how do you miss that we had denied this at our very first visit? Where's the documentation? And I wanted answers. And I was going to do anything to get those answers, but I was coming from a very angry place to get these and hurt. I was very hurt about this. And I called my mentor and she said, when you're ready, do Ho'oponopono, do the forgiveness process. But it's so fresh right now. It's okay if you need a minute. I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, I do need a minute because I'm just so mad. I want to be mad at them because I thought that anger at that moment would help keep my motivation to get them. And really, it was just hurting me. And I could see my daughter watching me having this experience. And my husband's trying to calm me down because luckily he was at that appointment. I don't know why, but he was at that appointment. It just happened that way. And it was so good he was because I'm walking out crying, trying to get answers. It took me a full week to fully forgive, see each person in their light, see the situation, get the lesson of what I needed from it. And I don't hold other doctors to that.
Hmm.
I tell them for knowledge, hey, we had this experience. I just want to be sure everything's documented in the future.
Hmm.
And that's it. It's so neutral. But if I didn't forgive, I'd be like, my daughter had this vaccine and I'm so upset about it still. This would have been over a year ago.
Hmm.
And I want to make sure you guys don't F up. Like I could have gone down that way, but I, I'm very neutral. See, I can bring it in because I'm like, it wasn't that long ago. However, I'm very neutral about that
Gotcha.
because mistakes happen.
Yeah.
Now, that's a big mistake for sure, but
Mhm.
mistakes do happen. We're all human. However, if I still had it right now, I would have baggage. And here's the thing, you have baggage when
Mhm.
your reaction is out of proportion to a trigger because you may have thoughts that are stuck in your past. You may have another time and another time and another time, and it just stacks, 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 stacks. So, what you might have in the moment, like with my daughter and that medical experience, if I had another one later, then I'd be like, oh, here we go again. Kind of
Mhm.
like the relationship that you may attract the same partner over and over again if you're not in a relationship and you're trying to get into one. that you just keep attracting the same person. They're just in a different body.
Mhm.
There's likely baggage there that you're drawing up, and it keeps coming up in the form of a partner. So, knowing that you have baggage, knowing that it's possible to release that and that you can be free of baggage, it's possible. It's just, are you willing to take that step? Some people aren't.
Mhm.
A lot of people are, though, because the ability to be free of the baggage, it takes a moment. It's just a matter of deciding to let it go.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I'm definitely enjoying this conversation, and it's so ironic because as I listen to you, I'm like, gosh, our stories are kind of similar. I've never met her before. So yeah, this was definitely a great connection. And so you shared your story. I shared some things about, holding on to unforgiveness. So do you have any advice for families who are struggling? Working in mental health, I see it all the time. Families who, there might be some type of division, some are feeling disappointed, some are stuck in resentment. What is one practical step that families can take today to kind of help them move forward towards forgiveness and rebuilding that family connection?
Start with one simple, easy language change.
Mhm.
So the Ho'oponopono process, it is a Hawaiian process. It's ancient Hawaiian, and they don't have a way of saying I'm sorry. I'm sorry is it ends right here energetically. It's right in front of you.
Mhm.
So I'd like you to start with an exchange of language. Please forgive me. I forgive you too. You do this in the process. However, by saying just please forgive me, someone bumps into you, please forgive me. Just by starting with something very simple, that can help change the script in your own mind about forgiveness
Mhm.
and shift within you your experience of it as well. Because then you're creating the exchange with the other person. So if you and your partner need to be having a heart to heart and you're asking for forgiveness, hopefully you and them are listening to this together or separately and coming together, then just say, okay, moving forward, if we ever need to just heal up together, and we have a back and forth exchange, let's just end with, please forgive me, I forgive you. It could be that simple with your kids. Hey, I missed the path, or I didn't notice this one thing. Please forgive me. Oh, I didn't notice that. Please forgive me, hun.
Absolutely. That is so true. I think sometimes instead of, like you just said, one step at a time, sometimes we want like the whole pie. Let's fix everything. And you are right, just taking steps because relationships aren't necessarily destroyed overnight. It's over time, a buildup. So it's going to take time to correct them so you can get back to your family unit, your healed family unit. So I'm glad you
Mhm.
did mention about just taking small steps. And so, again, I want to thank you for your transparency. I want to thank you for agreeing to come on to the show today because this is helping me to empower, inspire, and educate the community. And so, I want to just give you this time for any resonating thoughts. I don't know if you have any books, you want to share your contact information or anything like that, so that people who view this later, if they do want to reach out to you, just kind of find out more about what you offer. And who knows, they might even want to have services too. So you can share that information at this time. The floor is yours.
Awesome. So we're on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok here and there. We just post things here and there based off of the platforms. So if you're interested more in just information, feel free to check those out. Uh, and we do have a weekly newsletter, and we don't put these out to everybody. This is just people that decide they want to be a part of it. We send every Tuesday introspective inspiration so that you can be inspired as parents. And then if we have other events, we also let everybody know there. And if you'd like any freebies, those are all on our website. We have a few different freebies based off of where you're at currently in life. If you have a neurodiverse family, or if you're just navigating parental stress or trying to build your communication skills, I'll make sure that those are listed as well. A few different freebies we have available.
Mhm.
Just lastly, final thoughts is that by you being here and listening fully, I am going to assume and presuppose that you are doing the best you can with the resources you have available, and you're taking the steps on your own personal growth journey. And everyone's journey is going to look different. So just tap into your resources, your podcasts, your books, any friends, family, professionals that can help support you through this process in your life, whatever transition you're experiencing, because there are more supports out there than just one piece. So just tap into all of them because we're all here to support you through your journey.
Okay. So I will be in contact with you a little bit later this afternoon. I do have your socials and your contact information. So I'm going to also put that in the description so that
Awesome.
people can actually reach out to you. Yeah. All
Thank you
right.
so
I,
much.
have a great one.
You too.
Take care.